through the options that are available. Under the File New, we can do a new application, a new page, a database server, or a custom query. The database server would just allow us to add an additional database server to the application. And again, this is an Enterprise Edition feature. If you don't see it in Professional Edition, that's why. We also have the ability to do custom queries, and I'm not going to go into the specifics of doing a custom query. If this is something you want me to cover, let me know with an email or a phone call, and this is something that I can do. IronSpeed saves applications we've recently opened and worked on, so we can easily just click and open up a previous application. Let's go ahead and look in the Edit menu, and the Edit menu is going to change to what we can do based upon what we've selected. So let me go ahead and click on a control here. And now our Edit menu option, well, we can only delete. We haven't done any actions that we need to undo, redo, cut, copy, or paste, but these features will unlock as they're appropriate. In the view, IronSpeed allows us to customize our view. We have the Application Explorer, the Toolbox, Output, HTML Quick View, Source safe source files, all source files, etc. And what safe source files are, don't be confused, this isn't Visual Source Safe. What this means is that files that are safe for us to edit and change. IronSpeed won't show us all of the files by default because some of them, if you go in and change them, IronSpeed will go in and overwrite your changes and you'll lose a lot of hard work. I recommend leaving this checked and not ever setting all source files. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these things that we can view. Here is our toolbox, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin this open while we're reviewing the toolbox. What the IronSpeed toolbox is this is a list of controls that are available to users of the Enterprise Edition application. These are the default IronSpeed controls that are intrinsic to IronSpeed applications, and I believe this list of controls here is common to Enterprise and Professional Edition. One of the things I want to discuss briefly is the different types of controls. You'll see that we have two checkboxes, one with an ASPX determination. All this is saying is that this is the exact same checkbox that you would use in Visual Studio.net, where this checkbox is an IronSpeed data-bound checkbox with IronSpeed configurable properties. I would encourage you to experiment with using each of the controls to understand better what the differences are, but understand that you can use ASP.NET native controls in IronSpeed Designer applications. It's very easy to do. And if there is an ASP.NET control that isn't listed here, in subsequent videos I show you how to include other controls in IronSpeed Designer applications. Here is Crystal Report integration. This is again something unique to IronSpeed Designer Enterprise Edition, where we can drag and drop Crystal Report controls onto application pages and configure them to work with the data we've selected in IronSpeed Designer. Here are our page footer and header controls. Here's our header, and this is the page footer that they're talking about right here. And you can drag and drop these onto any page and it will add these elements to your page. It's a very quick way to build robust applications. Here's our Infragistics control support, and you'll see that in version 4.2.1 we have a lot more control options than we had in even the previous version of 4.1. Feel free to experiment with each of these controls, but I will say that you need to have a license for the Infragistics controls if you plan on using them in IronSpeed. These tabs here don't indicate that you have a license. What it indicates is that IronSpeed has support for your license if you have purchased one separately from Infragistics. Here are our master detail record panels. Again, I'm not going to go into the detailed functionality other than to show you what's available in IronSpeed. You have a lot of choices for what you can drop onto an application page and configure, and it's a very simple process for doing so. Here's our menu panels. IronSpeed Designer by default has a vertical menu and a horizontal menu, and you can drag these onto any application and they work. It's a slick deal. You can even do your own new menu, and IronSpeed will save and add that menu into this menu panel specific to your application so that you can reuse new menus you've created anywhere. These are just read-only record panels. Feel free to experiment with each one and what you can do with them. Here are our record panels. This allows us to add, insert, or update records. search and filter controls. Again, you just need to play with each of these on your own. And our table panel controls. These are our large views of data. The show and edit table allow us to view multiple record rows from a given database table, and the edit table will allow you to edit any of those rows and save them back to the database, where the show table allows you to put a checkbox in a specific row and then edit it in a new application page or show it for printing or other viewing. Our final element of the control toolbox is the Telerik controls, and in IronSpeed version 4.2.1 we have support for the RAD grid and for the RAD tab strip. Again, these are database driven. You drag them onto your form, click the Configure tab, and start configuring and using the control. It's a very user-friendly experience all the way across the board. I'm going to hide the toolbox now. I'm going to unpin it, and it's going to stay over here minimized, and if I mouse over it, it'll pop out for me. Let's talk about the next most important view, I think, and that is our Application Explorer. And over here, I'm going to fly it out, and now I'm going to pin it so that it stays open during this part of the application discussion. The Application Explorer gives us an entire view of our application, including business layer, data access layer, stored procedures if we have any, base classes that are used by the application, and our database. I'm using a Microsoft Access database. Here we can expand out our database and we can see the tables and the fields that we've selected. Excuse me, the tables and the views. And IronSpeed, this is just something that I encourage you play with on your own and learn a lot more about it. Make sure you reference the IronSpeed help if you have any questions, or the user forums. This is a really neat feature of the IronSpeed Designer application where you can come in, and I'm going to hide this, I'm going to unpin this and show you this view. IronSpeed shows you how it's using each field in a specific table. And you can come in and set these properties and customize the application's behavior based upon your own requirements. And again, read the help or ask on the user forums if you want more information for how to come in here and make changes to your application. That's our database view. I'm going to collapse that node. And let's just go back up to the top of the application and we'll see how an IronSpeed Designer application is laid out. This view should look very similar to how an application would look in Visual Studio. We have an app code directory, and we have page classes for each application page that we've generated. Categories, this is from our category table from the Southwind Microsoft Access database. We can add, edit, and show fields. We have the same for customers and employees, but here we can see our header and footer pages. And if we want to go in and customize the header and footer, we can select each of these ASCX user controls and we can modify them within IronSpeed Designer. Just simply double-clicking brings up the controls properties, and we can come in here and make changes for what we see. Changes in here are application-wide and take place immediately. Same for the header, where we can come in and change the application image simply using this path here. This is a relative path. The two dots indicate that we're going to the root level of the application, of the web applications directory, and we want to go into the images folder and find logo.gif. Also included are a list of images that are available in the application. And here is our updating GIF. This is part of our Ajax Smooth Panel updates. And here you can just see the individual items that are included in each IronSpeed theme. Some of these are very, very small, might be difficult to see in this video. But you can see what's being used by the IronSpeed application. Here is our set language page. We can configure this. Here are our menu panels. I haven't done anything with the menus, so here is our default menu panel, and we can come in here and customize the behavior of these panels once we build the application. Matter of fact, why don't I do that right now so that you can see how this view is going to change after we build the application. And I'm just going to click the little gear button, and this is going to do an application build for us so that after building this application we can go ahead and run it in a web browser and it'll be fully functional and it will update showing any changes that we have made within the designer. You'll see now that we've got some plus signs next to each of these controls where we can go into the code behind page now, and we can specifically customize behavior of individual pages or web user controls inside the Code Explorer here. It's picked up that I've made changes. I really haven't. Do I want to save the changes? No, I don't. And let's go, the order details, this is specific to our database. Orders, specific to our database. Products, here's shared. This is something unique to IronSpeed Designer. And these are forms that forms and controls that IronSpeed uses in your application that are shared between pages. So these are reusable controls. If you want to change the way one may look, you can do it here. Make sure you read the information here and make changes only if it makes sense to what you're doing. This is shippers from our product table. Here's our styles, and these are our cascading style sheets that IronSpeed includes in the application. You can come in here and customize any of these styles any way that makes sense to you, and IronSpeed has code collapsing so that it's very easy to move around in this code and only work in the regions that you're interested in working in and collapsing all the rest. Nope, I don't want to save changes. And finally, here is our user access. Oh, excuse me, that's part of the Microsoft Access database. That's a table that I created. Here's our business layer. This is what IronSpeed uses as the middle tier to access our data. Or excuse me, you can come in here and explore each of these. These are just related to each table within the application, and it'll show you information about how IronSpeed is accessing data, or excuse me, how IronSpeed is doing things in the business layer. Here's the layer I keep talking about, the data access layer. And this is our middle tier conceptually. This is where the application is the user interface is abstracted away from the way in which we get, retrieve, save, and store data in the application database. And again, feel free to come in here and read whatever you want. If you make changes at your own risk. Nope, I don't want to save changes. And the data access layer is only going to show folders for tables that we've included from our database selection. Finally, these are base classes that are used by IronSpeed. This will give you some idea for what IronSpeed is doing under the hood, for how IronSpeed is accessing things, what it's doing. You can come in and you can see I/O, data. This is just really informative to spend some time looking through some of this code to see how IronSpeed is doing stuff behind the scenes. And that completes our review of the Application Explorer and how easy it is to view everything going on in our IronSpeed application and make changes. I'm going to unpin this view to give me more view of the real estate over here.